forget how good turkey can be. I feel like turkey deserves more of our respect because we don't serve it enough during the year. That's fire. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marta and I am the chef and author of Sense and Edibility, which is a site where I teach people everything I know about cooking, baking, and cocktail making. And in today's video, I want to teach you how to make my turkey picadillo or picadillo de pavo. Anything that is minced very well is considered a picadillo. It means to like mince or like small bits of something, ground stuff. Usually picadillo is made with ground beef, but my cardiologist has told me I need to chill out on the red meat and the full fat milks and dairies, like products. Essentially everything that makes me happy in life, I have to calm down consuming. So I care about my heart disease runs in my family, so I'm going to try to do a better job of eating less red meat. But because I am me, I refuse to sacrifice flavor. And to be quite honest, this turkey picadillo tastes just as good as regular picadillo made with ground beef, but it's less fatty, less saturated fats, it's leaner, so it's healthier. Picadillo is usually made about once a month in our house. Anytime Hector's cooking, it's probably picadillo. So we like to eat it over rice with, avocado or salad. But you can also use picadillo in recipes like pastelillos or empanadillas, which are Puerto Rican empanadas, turnovers. You can also put it into the center of relleno de papa or papas rellenas, which is kind of like a potato fritter filled with picadillo. You can also use it in a recipe called pastelón or piñón, which is kind of like a layered picadillo plantain casserole. Some people call it Puerto Rican lasagna, but I don't like calling it that all the time because why do we need to compare it to lasagna? Anyways, picadillo is a very versatile recipe. So I want to teach you how to make my turkey version using ground turkey so that you can have something that's a little bit less saturated fat heavy, and maybe it'll make your cardiologist happy as well, and your heart too. Before we get into the video though, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and sign up for notifications so that you can get notified every time I post a video like this picadillo recipe. After you do that, watch how I make my picadillo de pavo or turkey picadillo. Okay, you're going to make this picadillo. It's a one-pot meal, but you're going to do it in a 3-quart or larger caldero or Dutch oven or similarly heavy bottomed pot. Add the ground turkey to a cold pot and then turn the heat up to medium high. This allows you to extract what little fat from the ground turkey without burning it. Now I'm using a potato masher here to flatten out the ground turkey into the bottom of the pot. I'm going to tell you why I don't always love this method, but I'm giving it to you as an option. Once you've flattened out the ground turkey in the bottom of the pot, you're going to add sazón con culantro y achiote, which is culantro, oregano, and annatto seed, and adobo, oregano leaves, and black pepper. Sprinkle that over the ground turkey in the pot and incorporate that using a potato masher, or if you want to, you can use a flat edge spoon. But the reason why I like adding my spice blend to raw meat is because the meat has a chance to absorb it and lock it in before you brown it. So it kind of seals in those spices. You'll notice that I'm using this potato masher. The reason why I don't like it is because of this reason right here. It kind of, especially with ground turkey, gets stuck in the prongs or the wave of the potato masher and makes it more difficult than I feel it's worth. But if you have dexterity issues, this may be an easier way for you to mash up or grind up the ground turkey. I prefer to use a flat edge spoon like the one in my hand right now, and I just kind of go at it and break up those pieces of ground turkey. You want it to resemble crumbles instead of big chunks of ground turkey. You're going to continue to sear this until it kind of takes on a tan light yellow color. Now, the reason why my ground turkey may not look the same as yours at this point is because I'm using homemade sazón and adobo, so I don't have those added dyes that the store-bought stuff has. So don't trip too much if yours is more orange or darker in color than mine is. But what you can see me doing is breaking up those bigger chunks of turkey in the pot using the edge of my spoon. Again, you can do this with your potato masher. I know people that like to add water to their pot to kind of make it easier to do, but it's one more step for me, and I need the exercise, so that's why I'm mashing it. Now, even though I'm using 99.1, which is a very, very lean ground turkey, it's the leanest you can buy. You can still see that I have some grease in the bottom of the pot, and I'm using that. I'm creating a well in the center of my ground turkey to add my aromatics. These are my green bell pepper, my onion, my garlic, and my sofrito to the pot. And I'm incorporating them into the ground turkey mixture while at the same time still focusing on those larger chunks of ground turkey and breaking them up. You're going to saute these aromatics with the ground turkey for 2 to 3 minutes, or until they're translucent or they look like they've been sweating, or they appear glossy. Now, there's different types of ground turkey that you can buy. You can buy 99.1, which is what I recommend, so that you don't have to drain the grease in the pot. You can buy something as fatty as 80/20, which means you're going to have to drain the oil. So this is why I recommend using 99.1 ground turkey. The 99 refers to the amount of lean meat versus fat, which is 1%. This is the least amount of fat that you will get in ground turkey, and it requires no draining if you use it this method. And if you're bringing it from a cold to a hot pot, then you render out what little fat is in there slowly. So yeah, after you've sauteed the aromatics, you're going to add tomato sauce to the picadillo and sliced manzanilla olives and capers. This gives umami flavor, kind of like a brininess to the picadillo, quintessentially Puerto Rican flavored picadillo. You're also going to add 1 large bay leaf or 2 small bay leaves. One sidebar, I am not a fan, nor is my family a fan of soupy picadillo, but if you like a more saucy picadillo, you can add an additional can of tomato sauce to this recipe. I recommend using a no salt added tomato sauce, so you're not affecting the sodium content though. After you've incorporated the tomato sauce into the ground turkey, spread it into an even layer in the pot and reduce the temperature to low. Simmer the picadillo for 10 minutes covered, stirring occasionally. I only stir it once during this 10-minute cooking process. And after 10 minutes, guess what? The picadillo is done. It's ready to serve or use in other recipes. This is a perfect weeknight dinner entree. You can also use it in other Puerto Rican recipes that call for any kind of picadillo. Doesn't matter if it's ground beef or not. You can also use it in recipes that are not Puerto Rican. So if you want to make a shepherd's pie with it, if you want to add pasta to it and make kind of like a picadillo pasta type of deal. This is a fantastic recipe for young families, single adults, college age kids, or adults, young adults, or like back to school recipes, military families, anybody, new moms, new dads, anybody who needs a quick fix, low fat meal. This is for you. Picadillo is so good, y'all. I forget how good turkey can be. I feel like turkey deserves more of our respect because we don't serve it enough during the year. That's fire. Let me get myself together and drink some water, and I'll be back to answer frequently asked questions I get about this turkey picadillo recipe. I'll be back. Okay, let's say this together. Picadillo. Picadillo. Hopefully I can figure out a way to put glide it across. If not, pretend like picadillo came up at the bottom of the screen, because I'm not that savvy when it comes to video editing. Picadillo in English, basically, it's like minced or chopped or hashed, something that is small bits of something. It comes from the Spanish root word picar, which means to chop. So something that's chopped or minced, which makes sense, right? Because everything in this recipe is minced very well or chopped, small diced or ground. So that's kind of what it is, kind of like minced meat or ground beef, something along those lines. This is Picadillo de Pavo, or Turkey Picadillo, so it's made with ground turkey. Usually picadillo is made with ground beef. You can make it with ground pork. You can make it with a combination of beef and pork, or you can even make it with chicken. I have never seen, you can do it with lamb. Anything that you can grind into ground meat, you can use to make picadillo. However, the preparation of different types of ground meat are going to be different. If you replace the turkey in this recipe with ground pork or ground beef, you're going to have to, after sauteing the ground meat and the aromatics, the onions, green bell pepper, and the garlic and the sofrito, you're going to have to drain the grease that accumulates in the pot, because there will be more grease if you use ground beef or even ground lamb or ground pork. If you're using ground chicken, you don't have to drain, you may have to drain a little bit of the grease off. That's why I prefer to use the type of ground turkey that I use, because I don't have to add that extra step of draining the meat. So you can replace the turkey in this recipe with any ground meat if you drain it after sauteing it, if it's something high in fat like ground beef or ground turkey or ground pork. This Puerto Rican picadillo is different from Mexican or Cuban picadillo in that the latter two usually incorporate some type of potato. Now you can add potatoes to this recipe. I don't do it because I never grew up eating potatoes in my picadillo, and I don't, like Hector didn't either, so a lot of my family don't add the potatoes. But if you're looking to bulk up the recipe, then by all means you can add some diced potatoes that you microwave in some water for about 5 minutes to soften it up. Drain that water off of the potatoes and then add it into the picadillo with the tomatoes. You may want to simmer it for about 12 minutes instead of 10 minutes, but yeah, it's easy to add potatoes to this recipe. I think one of the reasons why Puerto Ricans don't add potatoes to our recipe is because we usually serve it over rice, so it's kind of like, we don't need all that. Plus, I know in my family, we didn't do it because we were kind of broke, so we weren't going to add more ingredients, which cost more money. So I think that's one of the main differences between Cuban and Mexican picadillo versus Puerto Rican picadillo. Some other differences, which some people in Puerto Rico, like my step-grandmother, she would add raisins to her picadillo, which is probably why I didn't like her that much anyways. But yeah, so you could add raisins to it if you really want to. It gives it kind of like this sweet, savory vibe, but it is so not my vibe at all. To store this picadillo, all you need to do is transfer it into an airtight container, food storage container, and put it in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 days. It's good for 3 days. Never lasts that long in my house, so I'm pretty sure if you push it to 4, you won't hurt yourself. But the rule of thumb for leftovers is to store them for only 3 days in the refrigerator in a covered airtight container. When you want to reheat your picadillo, scoop from your storage container the amount of picadillo you want to heat up. If you want to loosen it up a little bit, you can pour in about a tablespoon of either chicken broth, turkey broth, or turkey stock if you have any, or any broth. You can use vegetable, chicken, beef, or turkey broth, or water, or beer. And put it in a microwave safe container and heat it for about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes, stirring halfway through to make sure it's heating evenly. And that's all you gotta do to heat it up. You can also heat it up in a saute pan, with a little bit of water over medium heat, and just kind of stir it and toss it until it's warmed through. That usually takes about 5 minutes on the stove. You can freeze picadillo. It actually freezes really well. I usually let it come to room temperature in the caldero, or if I'm in a real rush, I lay it flat on a sheet pan to kind of allow more of the surface area to touch the air so it starts cooling faster. Put it in a freezer storage bag, squeeze all the air out of the storage bag, lay it down in the freezer so that it's nice and flat. Once it's frozen solid, you can stand it up in the freezer so it takes up less space. You can freeze this for up to, I'd say about 3 to 4 months. You could technically go to 6 months with it. I don't think it's gonna hurt nothing. So freeze it, and then when you're ready to use it, pull it out, put it in the refrigerator the night before you want to make it or reheat it, and thaw it in the refrigerator. And then when you're ready to reheat it, you can, or use it in other recipes, you can use it as directed. This recipe makes 2 pounds of picadillo. So what I like to do is use 1 pound for whatever recipe I'm going to be making, and then store the other pound. That's usually if I'm making picadillo just to serve over rice. If I'm making something like pastelón or piñón, I usually have to use the entire batch of picadillo. But that's why I like making this picadillo, because I can get 2 meals out of it with minimal effort. So I strongly encourage you to freeze whatever picadillo you don't use or you don't plan to use in the meal that you're making it for that day, because somewhere down the line you're not going to feel like cooking and you're going to be able to bring it out, and it's going to come in clutch. So do that. If you don't want to make 2 pounds, all you need to do is cut everything in the recipe down by half. Divide it by half and just make half of the recipe. I think that you should make the full batch because, again, you can freeze half of it, and if you're going to go through the effort of making 1 batch, why not get 2 meals out of it? You know what I'm saying? But you can totally decrease the recipe by half and only make 1 pound of picadillo. I think you're going to wish you made 2 though. Y'all olive haters are, y'all are militant. You don't have to add the olives to this recipe, nor the capers. You don't have to use them, no. I mean, people hate olives. I've never understood that. I can eat olives out of the jar by themselves, and that's probably why my blood pressure is so high. But whatever. No, you do not have to add olives or capers to this recipe. You can omit them. You don't have to change anything else about the recipe at all. Calm down. You can use picadillo in so many different recipes. I love this. I cannot tell you how versatile picadillo is. It's going to be a lifesaver in so many different scenarios. Not really. I mean, it's going to help you out if you don't feel like cooking. Again, you can eat it by itself with rice. You can put it over mashed potatoes or any other type of grain. Even pasta. Like, I've served this over bow tie pasta before. The only change that I made is I added a little bit more tomato sauce to make it kind of like a pasta picadillo sauce. But that's the only change I made. If you want to do that, I would add probably another can of tomato sauce to the recipe. But picadillo is used in rellenos de papa or papas rellenas, pastelón, also called piñón, depending on how you do the plantains in that recipe. Turnovers, meat patties, what do they call it? Pastelillos or empanadillas. I keep saying pastelillos or empanadillas because Puerto Ricans will fight to the death about which it's supposed to be called. Whatever. They're the same thing. You can make like a type of shepherd's pie, which is also like a pastelón de papa. You can use it in a shepherd's pie if you want to give it like a Puerto Rican flair. Anything that you would use ground meat sauce in tomato with. So if you want to flip up your tacos, use this picadillo instead, or burritos or enchiladas, things like that. You can use this in a ton of different recipes, to include nachos. So picadillo is, I mean, it is that girl. Like, she comes through when you're hungry. She's a humble recipe, but she gets the job done. I have answered every frequently asked question. I think I know. That's how I make my turkey picadillo or picadillo de pavo. I hope that you try this recipe out, and if you do try this recipe out, don't forget to leave me a comment below letting me know how you liked it. Also, it is really helpful, especially in this day of AI, to go to my site, go to the blog post where the full recipe is with details and pictures. Go to my blog post, leave a comment on the blog post, rate it, give it a star rating, because that's how I actually pay the bills with my blog. So I would really love it if you would take some time to go over there and subscribe to my blog for notifications. I have an email newsletter that I send out. Again, it's helpful in this day of AI to support actual real content creators, human beings who help train the AI, but whatever, I'm not going there. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and sign up for notifications here on YouTube so that every time I post a new video like this one, you can get notified. Probably have some outtakes, so stick around for those, and I will see you on the next video. Bye. Of Sense and Edibility, which is a site. Let me take this. Make a move. Well, it's part of cooking. Cooking, sometimes you make a mess. It's alright. Pants. Let me do it off the fat. Box breathing, okay, go. Humble recipe that can feed you in any way, shape, or form. No, I don't like that.